for joining me on this Deja Vu Summit. Here we are with New Year's resolutions, and people may be setting the same resolution this year that they've set before. And we want to break that cycle. And today, you and I were talking about how the topic of food sensitivities really needs to be discussed. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me about this.
It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. I think this is an important topic because the way that you end 2022 is the way that you're going into 2023. And we need to change that, Lisa.
Yes. So people will set these goals, but they don't really have a complete picture, right? And I have been heard saying they look at their next door neighbor, their sister, their mother, and they're trying to find the right answer for them. But checking with those people is not the best way to find what works for us.
Everybody has a unique, like they say, personality. It's the same thing with their physiology and their biochemistry. And it's a game changer. The food sensitivity test is a game changer. It's come such a long way. And it tells us literally what we should be eating and what we should be avoiding. You can tell me that you are eating a Mediterranean diet, and maybe you have diabetes. Arguably one of the best diets out there for diabetes, cardiovascular. However, there may be components, there may be a lot of components of that particular diet that may be working against you. And so let me explain. Maybe you're eating vegetables and you're eating broccoli, you're eating cauliflower, you're eating beets. These are really great veggies for somebody who has some type of metabolic dysregulation. They're wonderful. However, if it's causing an inflammatory reaction, and it's causing an inflammatory reaction to go systemically within your bloodstream because it's working against your biochemistry, you can get, at some point in time, poor health. That poor health could lead to cardiovascular disease, could lead to a leaky gut, which we will talk about momentarily. It can lead to weight loss resistance, insulin resistance, autoimmune conditions, hypertension. Boy, it can lead to a lot of different types of things that can really cause problems. So what we need to do, it's a game changer. Like I said, getting that food sensitivity test is so important because once you put together that diet, like you and I were talking about, that food, once you have this information, it really helps out significantly. Weight loss, brain fog. Oh boy, am I taking my medication anymore? Go ahead, go see your endocrinologist for that, Lisa. And they're going to be like, your fasting plasma glucose and your HbA1c is normal. There's no reason to take this anymore. It is such a game changer. Every single one of my patients, bar none, they get this food sensitivity test because it's so important.
So wait, Dr. Dan, are you saying that just because the Mediterranean diet is touted as the healthiest diet and it worked for my sister, my mother, or my next door neighbor, that it may not be the answer to my problems?
May not be the answer to your problems correctly. 100%. Listen, grandma's cooking better now and she's lost a couple of pounds and I feel a little bit better. So yeah, come on over. I made this for you. May not be good for you. It may not be good for her. Listen, I'm going to answer that question or that comment in two parts. Number one is that you can lose weight going on a Mediterranean diet, on a keto diet. You lose 8 pounds, 10 pounds. You feel good. You're on the beach. You're looking a little bit better. That's not what I'm talking about, Lisa. I'm talking 50, 60, 70, 80 pounds, over 100 pounds. Individuals are coming into my office. That type of weight that needs to get lost in order to be a little bit more healthy or a lot more healthy. So that's the first thing, right? It's not a matter of just losing a couple of pounds. It's a matter of regulating your physiology, your biochemistry, which goes to the second point. Everybody's different when it comes to this. Everybody's unique. When we do the food sensitivity test, we put the diet together based upon that particular blood work. It's not that we're taking this, we're going to take a little paleo, a little keto, a little Mediterranean. I like this from the paleo. Okay, that's great. I like this from the DASH diet, which is great for hypertension, right? I like to do this. I like to be plant-based. That's great. But there may be components because you're so unique, your biochemistry, We need to figure out exactly what that is that's working for your body, as opposed to creating that inflammatory response. And that inflammatory response is like, hey, listen, I hurt my elbow. I got a partial tear. It's all inflamed right now. That's a good thing. That's a good inflammation. However, when you're eating poorly, that's a bad inflammation. That's the best way I can put it. That's a bad inflammation. And that would lead to poor health over a period of time, because you're eating things that just you shouldn't be eating.
Well, in my experience, my own observation is that people are looking for the silver bullet. They want some simple answer, right? So if this diet worked for my next door neighbor, my sister, or my mother, then it must work for me. But we're all so uniquely different that, and there is no such thing, like you said, we might pull things from different diets, because there's no such thing as a silver bullet.
Right. There's no such thing. You know, for all of the listeners, you need to get that out of your head. You know, it's like I had a patient the other day purchasing products from somebody, and that person said, oh, your diabetes is going to go away. And they lost a couple of pounds, but their diabetes is still here. Now they're in my office. Because they used a particular product doesn't mean that it's good for you. That's very important. And that's the distinction. It may not even be working for them, because at the end, did they lose the 50 pounds that they needed to lose? And is their HbA1c normal? Is their triglycerides normal? Are they able to live their life without brain fog, without having abundant energy, you know, having confidence in themselves? Because listen, you lose weight and you're feeling good, you're looking good, you're feeling good, you ought to be in Hollywood, you have more confidence in your life, you feel better about yourself, you go for that job, you go for the raise, you ask that person out, right? Because it's just a better way of life, instead of worrying about, oh, the next door neighbor, how many times has this happened to me? Next door neighbor is taking bee pollen. Why? Well, they read something somewhere on the internet, so now I'm taking bee pollen. How's it working out for you? It's not. Are you going to give up bee pollen? The answer 100% categorically is no. Why? Because my neighbor told me to take it. I mean, I'm like, but you need to change your line of thinking. You need to change your mindset around this. And you need to look at people like you and I, Lisa, who have this experience to help individuals out, because one size does not fit all. When it comes to this, one size does not fit all, and individuals want that one size to fit all. The whole block is on bee pollen and everybody's great right now. No. I mean, I'm making a joke about it, but it's not a joke when you wake up tomorrow morning and you test your fasting plasma glucose, you test your sugar, and you're still diabetic. It's not so funny anymore. It's a little frustrating, and it's a waste of time and a waste of money. Don't throw good money into bad. Yeah. Change your line of thinking, Lisa. This is extremely important. And this is the situation that I try to discuss with my patients all the time, so that we can change things around. And you and I had said this, you get up in the morning, you have your donut, right? Oh, doc, do I have to have a nutrition shake every morning? I don't know. For the last 20 years, you've had a donut and a cup of coffee from a you know, America Runs on Whatever, right? Seriously now. I mean, it's a joke just to break your thought pattern. That's what I'm doing. But if you think about it, you have the donut every morning and you have that slice of pizza, or you go to that pizzeria. I'm not saying you can't ever have a slice of pizza, but when you do, and you're going through the program, you're going to feel differently. You may not feel so good. You may not want to have that slice of pizza again. And we're Italian American. We love pizza.
Yes. Well, I'm laughing because my first job was at the America Runs On place. And, you know, the workers got to take home leftover donuts at the end of the day. That caught up with me. So
sure it does. Of course it does.
None of those in my life anymore. But I wrote an ebook called From Confusion to Clarity. And that was really to address this issue of like throwing things at the wall. I heard I need to take bee pollen. I heard I need to be keto. I heard this new supplement or product. There's a lot of great supplements or products. I'm not knocking any product or
Right.
supplement, but you and I know that it takes a more holistic approach. We need to
Right.
look at the whole person and the whole picture, not just throw products at it.
No, no, because what's happening is that individuals are used to, Lisa, having something given to them to change their life, right? You need to take personal responsibility and you need to look at your lifestyle. We're making positive lifestyle changes because you cannot out supplement a bad diet. You cannot outwork out a bad diet. So if I'm eating junk food, and like I said to you before, it's either junk or food. There's no such thing as junk food to me. What happens is that if you're eating fast food every day and you're a marathon runner, I mean, if you're 18 years old, 16 years old, it may not affect you as much, but as you get older, it's going to affect you. You're not going to be a top marathon runner. You're not going to be able to finish your 10K race. You can't out supplement anything. And it's like, my mother used to come up from North Carolina, Lisa. She had a plastic bag worth of pills. And there's a red badge of courage that individuals have. The most supplements I'm taking, or the most this I'm taking, or the most that I'm taking. Listen, we're going to do a vitamin and mineral panel on you. Because if you're deficient in vitamin C, that's what you're going to get. If you're not, and you're deficient in others, and we have to look at a total body approach, take a look at your lifestyle before you even make those recommendations. Lisa, we're making it based upon data, based upon blood work, just like the food sensitivity test. We are making it based upon something that we can do that's tangible, that your body specifically needs. Your body, just because everybody in the house takes vitamin C or echinacea or whatever that is, okay, good. But you may need to take something different. You may be deficient in something different that may need to help you out. So that's important. We got to change the mindset. We got to look at the whole person. We make positive, you and I make positive lifestyle changes when it comes to this.
Yeah, I love how you incorporate the blood work and the lab work, because then you're looking at real data, which is something I can't do. So health coaches focus a lot more on lifestyle. You're able to combine both lifestyle with labs and data, and you have far more resources available to you than I have to me. What we can agree on is that it needs to be an individualized approach, and that a person needs to find
Personalized,
yeah,
right? Personalized, individualized approach, because
yeah.
you're different than I am, different than my son, different than my neighbor across the street. And this is why all of these companies, nutrition companies that you're buying products from, again, if you calorically restrict yourself and you're doing 2 protein shakes a day, and that's what the protocol calls for, you may lose weight, but it still may not be so good for you the way that you're losing the weight, right? Because you're not getting the proper nutrients in your body.
Yeah. I've always believed in an elimination protocol. I figured that out a long time ago, that the only way for someone, and I love that you do food sensitivity testing because I don't have access to that, but I do find that when someone goes through an elimination protocol, they find out for themselves how they feel when they add particular foods. And one example is I had someone who insisted she needed her skinny pop through the detox phase. And I said, no grains. We're just removing the known inflammatory foods during this phase, and you can add it back in month 3. And she kept fighting with me because it's only 35 calories. And I said, I don't care about calories. We're just taking these away and you can add it back in month 3. And when she did, Dr. Dan, she called me and she said, oh my God, you're not going to believe this. She said, my skinny pop is what was causing my lower back pain.
Shocker.
And then causing my IBS.
Shocker.
But do you think it would have been the same coming from me if I would have said, that skinny pop might be the cause of all your problems?
No, you could be, it's different for you. It's much, much different for you. Listen, had a patient, and autoimmune condition related to a leaky gut, and at Disney in Florida, and the line of thinking was, oh, stay away from the burgers. And she went for chicken, the chicken. She had a food intolerance, food sensitivity to the chicken. She slept for 2 days. She called me when she was down there. She goes, I understand exactly. I said, listen, you could have texted me. I probably would have said to you, listen, go for the burger because beef you're not having the intolerance, not the food sensitivity to. And maybe you don't put all the condiments on there. And maybe you just don't even have the bun. Maybe you just sit there and take it off and you can put something on there, maybe some lettuce or tomato, if that's appropriate for your biochemistry, because it's personalized, and eat the burger and enjoy the burger as opposed to the chicken. Because
Yes.
we all know that the chicken's supposed to be better than the burger. Maybe not true for you. And that's the distinction that I think we're trying to hit really home. Everybody's individualized. One size does not fit all. Don't do a particular diet because somebody across the street is doing a particular diet. Don't take a supplement because somebody across the street or anywhere at work is taking a particular supplement. It may not be good for you. It could work against you.
Yes.
Could work against you. And you're going to sit there and going to say, well, nutrition doesn't work. How many times do you hear this? Nutrition doesn't work. This doesn't work. Taking a supplement doesn't work. No, no, no. You're taking the wrong ones. You're eating the wrong foods. We're here to tell you which foods are the best for you. Personalized, unique biochemistry, personalized specifically for you.
So I'm sure some people hear this and they think, well, that sounds hard or like it will take a long time. And of course, everybody wants the overnight result. But I've actually found that as soon as someone understands that this requires a personalized approach and they find a program such as yours, where there is a structured program, boom, 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 it's actually pretty quick for people to get results, to get answers, and to get results.
Listen, within the month, you're going to start seeing results, whether it's weight loss, increased energy, and so forth and so on. I was doing telehealth before you and I spoke today, and I hear this all the time. What's next? Because after the first month, they're feeling so good and they're looking good and the brain fog is gone. They're working better biochemically. They're like, what's next? What do I need to do next? All of my patients never go back. And I want to say all of them. The ones that go back are the ones that don't get the benefit. And that happens very, very, very infrequently. Very infrequently. I mean, I'm thinking one person that just fought me, wheat intolerances, macaroni, Lisa, eating macaroni, eating Italian stuff that, when we did the blood test, he shouldn't be eating. There was other Italian stuff that he could have been eating that would have been much better off. But this is hey, cuz, I can't give up macaroni. You're Italian. You didn't give up macaroni. Oh, I did, by the way.
Me too.
Oh, by the way, I did. Because growing up, I didn't have to because it was homemade.
Yeah.
It was homemade growing up. So whoever was doing it, I learned how to do it. My sisters, my grandmother, my mother, my great-grandmother started the cooking. My father knew how to, because we all love to cook. We all love to eat. But then at some point in time in the 70s, it all changed with fast foods, frozen foods, Hungry Man stuff, right? That you put right into the microwave all of a sudden. And I realized after I had this stuff, I felt brain foggy. I felt tired. I didn't feel like I needed, I was in high school at the time. I didn't want to study. I didn't want to do any homework. I didn't train. I didn't understand it myself. Back then, so many chemicals and stuff like that are in there that are just not good for you. They're not good for you. It's either junk or food. There's no such thing as junk food. Like I keep saying, it's junk. You're eating junk at that point. And if somebody's telling you that it's okay, I don't agree. I do not agree. 30 years of clinical practice, 30 years plus of clinical practice. I don't agree.
So you bring up a good point about the brain fog, the lack of energy already affecting you in high school. I noticed it as I hit my 30s. I blamed baby number 2, but it wasn't. It was my lifestyle.
Baby number 2 is always blamed, right?
Yeah, I know. I know. I hope he forgives me. So, what I think has happened to a lot of people is they have the brain fog, they have that bit of depression, they've got the low energy. So, the thought of changing their lifestyle is overwhelming. They don't know where,
Overwhelming,
yeah,
overwhelming. It's so difficult to do. It brings about anxiety. It brings about past stuff that comes about, past traumas. You do feel a little anxiety, and you do feel depressed. But on the other side of this, boy, it's just really, really good. In my 30s, that's when I had my heart attack, and I was eating poorly. I was stressed. Triglycerides were 1,227. Try to beat that, anybody, right? That is out of control. But but after I changed my diet and I changed my lifestyle, and here I am, a healthcare practitioner. Let me tell you something. The energy that is that you have is just crazy. You and I were talking about my age before we got on, right? I'm going to be 61 years old. Somebody recently said to me, I have the energy of a 20-year-old. I said, I think I got the energy of a teenager. I keep up with my son, right? You don't have to live your life. It's not a joke. Oh, I'm older. Now I'm getting the midlife bulge, and no,
mm-mm.
no, you don't have to have that. I'm living proof. Lisa's living proof. There's tens of thousands of clients that we've had in combination that are living proof that you don't have to be this way. And it all starts with a personalized approach
Yes, and personal responsibility, which you and
and
I,
personal responsibility, because
yep,
you have to walk out my door. That's what I say to all my patients. You got to walk out my door. They're like, what do you mean? You got to walk out? Of course I'm going to walk out your door. I'm going home. That's right. And once you go home, you have to make decisions that are appropriate. You may fail, and especially in the first couple of months, but if I can get you to that first 6 weeks
yep.
and you're really doing well, I know that you're going to get benefit for the long term.
Yeah, that's really what I want to explain is that when they come into a program, you have a defined program that works from 30
Mhm,
years of clinical practice. You know, this is what I do with my patients, and this is how they get results. We have to
mhm.
address this and this and this and this.
Right.
They see results in a month, 6 weeks tops. Now the brain fog is lifting. Now it's easier to make the next change. They're saying what's next because it's easier to make the next change, the next change, and the next change. So they don't have to figure it all out. Or they can do what they've always done. They can talk to their neighbor, their sister, or their mother. They can try another fad diet. They could try another meal service. They could try these
Mhm.
other things, or they could go through a structured program and learn what they need to learn about their body and learn what foods work for them because not all foods work for all people.
Not all war foods work for all people. Not all supplements work for people. In the beginning stages, this reminds me of a story of a friend of mine who's a chiropractor who wanted to lose weight, and he was given some weight loss products, and this is going back in the 90s, and it was a stimulant that was in there. It was Ma Wong, which is illegal now to dispense in the United States. So he's like, all right, I'm going to lose some weight. I'm going to, not knowing how to do it. He told me he had a sandwich from a deli, salami and cheese from probably provolone, and then from there he had a Coke, and then he had this weight loss pill, nutrition company weight loss pill that had Ma Wong in it. He wound up in the hospital. His blood pressure just skyrocketed. His wife is calling us up. It looks like he's not going to, even he's not going to make it. I mean, we were in our 30s back then, right? We're 110 now, but we were in our 30s back then. But still, you didn't know what you didn't know. And you're taking something from somebody who gave it to you, who lost maybe 10 pounds. And this is the greatest product in the world. This is the greatest product. You got to look beyond the 10 pounds. You got to look beyond taking that pill. You have to look at your lifestyle, that root cause of what's causing this. That needs to change, because I could tell you last night when I went for a run with my son, it was really enjoyable. he didn't have any hockey practice. You know, my son plays hockey. It was enjoyable for us to go out on a nice run. You know, it's nice to us to go, we're going to the gym today. It's nice. It's a nice father-son activity, whatever that looks like with your daughter. Sailing, playing tennis, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. You're able to pick them up. You're able to go for a walk in the park with your 4-year-old grandchild, you know, and you're able to have a good day. You make a nice, healthy picnic or something like that. Wow. For a grandparent, that may be the best for them. That may be for the best. That may be the best activity, whatever that is. So,
you know, and I'd like to add on to that, since you brought up grandparents, and, you know, I'm going to be entering that phase as my kids are now getting married. One was just married. As a grandparent, we're probably more involved with our grandkids because of the dual working household. So as
yes,
the kids are working, the grandparents are helping with the kids.
100%.
Probably even more important for us going into our golden years to have our health and our vitality, but also to know a little bit about natural health, because we're contributing to the lives of our grandchildren. And more, I see this next generation is really suffering because of poor lifestyle and poor diet.
Oh my goodness, this is just such a topic that we can talk about for months on end. Teaching your children and your grandchildren, you're supposed to. You're a mentor. You want to be able to teach them. And what I always say and what I always do is, when somebody says to me, and I'm going to go in a couple of different directions here. When somebody says to me, diabetes runs in my family, I said, okay. I said, that's great. I said, well, not that it's great, but okay. You know, and I'll say to them, let me go to your cupboard. Okay, so what I want you to do is get your phone, and we're going to do a Zoom right now. And I want to go to your cupboard, and I want to see what's in there. Open up your fridge, please. I want to see what's in there. I want to see your perishable items. I want to see your non-perishable items. I want to see what foods, what mac and cheese do you have in there? I want to see everything. I want to see it all. Don't hide it. One person was hiding it in the back, and I was laughing, and I said, no, don't hide it. I see something back there, and it was macaroni and cheese. That's why I brought it up. I said, so this is a quick fix for you and for your kids. I said, let me ask you a question. That's genetics right there. That's number one. That's genetics. I said, let me ask you a question. Did you grow up like this? Yes. I literally had one of my patients go to their parents' house, and it was remarkable on how the same foods, the same products, the same brand names, because we're creatures of habit that way. My grandfather got Sunoco gas. I got Sunoco gas. I mean, my father ate this, drank this type of wine. I drink that type of wine. A lot of genetics in that. So we need to change that, because what they're eating is not the best. They're not the best. And we need to change that, because you're teaching your children what you were taught, and your grandchildren what you were taught. And yet you got a bag filled with pills that you're taking, right? So what we need to know, we recognize that genetics plays a role. Genetics holds, you know, on your lifestyle pulls that trigger. That's what the saying is. We need to change that lifestyle so that you teach your children and your grandchildren the best, right, way to do this. It also reminds me of and science is actually looking at this right now, where in Spain, it was an article in the Mayo Clinic Proceedings, I think 2018 or 2019, December. And Spain has a lot of fast food places right now, Lisa. And the kids are getting away from Mediterranean type of diet, and they're eating a lot of the fast foods. And what they realized is that the metabolic dysregulation for these kids are significant. The words were significant. And they did a whole study on it. And the only thing I remember from the article besides that was that this food, these empty calories, it's not nutritionally dense. You know, it's just calorically dense gobbledygook, if you will, if that's a word. These foods are highly palatable.
Mm-hmm.
You eat them, they taste really good. Come on, man. They taste good, right? But you can make your own food that tastes even better. They're readily available. That means that they're all over the place. You go into a store, and you want to buy a cake, candy, a little bunk cake or whatever that is, it's been sitting there for 6 months. There's chemicals in there so that it'll sit there in the shelf life for, for just about ever, right? And they're highly affordable. They make it affordable. They make it affordable. So it's important to teach your children about positive lifestyle changes, positive experiences, as you and I were talking about before, and teach them how to cook. Teach them what it is, nutrition. Maybe you're getting the food sensitivity test on them, and you're helping and you're teaching them how to cook for themselves. My son's going to be 15. He cooks for himself. I'm not cooking for him all the time. He comes home from school. Lisa, he's got to make something. He's got to have a little snack. It's got to be a healthy snack, right? Took away all of those foods, because with children, and what we're noticing today, and this has been proven by science, is that you're looking at neurologically development. You're looking at ADHD. You're looking at ADD. You're looking being on the spectrum. You're looking at all of this stuff. It's not that you and I grew up in the 70s, me in the 60s too, in the 70s, Lisa, where there was a sugary cereal, and then you went to school and you were like this, you were bouncing all over the place because you just consumed like 30 grams sugar, and then you crashed by 10 o'clock. You're like, heads on the desk, you got drool coming out. The teacher's like, what happened? I have no idea. All I know is I need some more of that cereal to get me going, right? It's a situation where they're eating food that is just so poorly made, and the food is adversely affecting them, and it's adversely affecting their gut. It's adversely affecting their neurological system, their cardiovascular system. There are so many different things that can happen, so many different healthcare conditions that are coming out of this. And to sit there and to say that these kids are, it's no big deal, because you hear that a lot, that just infuriates me, because you're looking at your kids and the obesity rates are high today. ADHD is just skyrocketing today, right? Kids are having a dozen of the best drink on earth, right? We were discussing that. And so what we want to do is we want to give them better stride. Why wouldn't you try it? And for yourself, why wouldn't you try it? Why wouldn't you give it a shot? You've been doing this for decades of your life. Imagine trying to eat appropriately for a decade in your life. Imagine that. Try that. Give us 2 to 3 months, and let's see what we can do in a couple of few months. It's an interesting concept where the kids today are eating junk, and we find stuff in my son's room. After hockey practice, they go buy this, they go buy that. They go to the little restaurant area that's at the rink, and I find stuff in his room, and I'm like, no. And I've correlated that to him with poor sleep. I've correlated it with not doing so well in school. I correlated it with not doing well on the ice, because your unique biochemistry is all over the place, Lisa.
Yeah.
Eating these things.
Well, those foods are addictive. And so
yes, they're meant to be addictive.
Yes, they were created to be addictive. Yes. And, this whole mentality of a little bit is okay, or that pat answer, like, oh, once in a while, or eat everything in moderation. I hate those statements, because I know that food has chemicals in it. But this is where the older generation may not realize that wheat today is not the same wheat from when they were a child, and that a cake mix has propylene glycol in it, and food dyes, and all of these chemicals that may not have been in a cake mix 50 years ago, but they're in a cake mix now, and no one's read the label in the last 30 years to know what they've changed and what they've added. And you look at, why is there food dyes in there when we know it causes behavior issues, focus issues, tumors in rats? I mean, there's so much research on food dyes. Why are they allowed in our food? Why can't we just go back to making a cake?
And you and I have discussed this on and off cameras and podcasts, because when you make a cake, it's not the butt cake that you're getting from, I hate mentioning companies' names, but
Yes.
whatever, whoever, however, it's not the one that you're buying. And the wheat is different, and the wheat will cause that leaky gut issue. And that is a major contributing factor, along with the food sensitivities, by the way. And a leaky gut, once you have a leaky gut, boy, it'll take you 6 months to a year to heal. And it's exactly that. And individuals look at me and they say, leaky gut, what does that mean? It's a descriptive terminology for something that happens biologically. It's just like if I go to I went to my friend who's an orthopedic for my elbow. We did the MRI and he says, are you taking any painkillers? It's just a descriptive terminology. There's no such thing, Lisa, as a painkiller or a muscle relaxer. You're taking the Proxen or whatever the newest one is today, right? It's a descriptive term. As a chiropractor, it's a pinched nerve. Is there such thing as a pinched nerve? I mean, so many people use pinched nerve because you're going to sit there and say, well, the afferentation of the lateral spinal thalamic tract is no, you got a pinched nerve. So a leaky gut, it's exactly that. The gut becomes leaky. And what's very interesting is there's a test for it. And when you have your gut, you have little villi, they're little projections that bring the food in. And if you have wheat, if you have a food intolerance, you're eating a poor diet, you're eating this junk, begins to break down. Proteins, enzymes dump into your bloodstream. And we specifically look for those types of proteins and enzymes. And the gut literally starts separating, not like there's a whole area. And if you're having a pepperoni pizza, Lisa, and that pepperoni goes directly in. No, you're getting large proteins that are creating an inflammatory reaction. And when you separate, you have those proteins, those enzymes that dump into the bloodstream. The company specifically tests for those particular immunoglobulins. It's just a big word. It's a protein. That means that you're having an inflammatory reaction in your stomach. We specifically look for those. And how exciting is that? We specifically look for those. And then we can make a program with the food sensitivity test, micronutrient test, at some point in time, the test for the leaky gut, maybe a stool test, and other tests that you can run, right? And we put it all together and we make a positive lifestyle change. And it's just really very exciting to help individuals out when it comes to this.
So I didn't tell you this story today before we met up for this, and I think you'll appreciate this. And I'm glad I didn't share it with you because I think you'll have an emotional reaction.
You're hiding it. So we're friends and you're hiding stuff from me.
Yeah. So here, I need to tell you what happened just this week. We had our last cooking class for the semester with my kids. And I was explaining to the kids, they learn all semester about healthy food, everything that you just mentioned. They learn what's hidden in pepperoni so that they're not buying pepperoni with red dye number 40 and nitrates, high fructose corn syrup, and MSG. And these kids learn over the course of the 14 weeks all of these amazing things so that they can make better choices for themselves. And at the end of the semester, I ask them, who's responsible for the food that you put in your body? And they're like, me. And I say, now what happens? Because not all of your friends understand this. So what happens when you go someplace and they want to offer you food that might have chemicals in it? You can just say, no, thank you. That's not for me, or not today. And I could actually teach you how to make that healthy if you're ever interested. Because I said, you guys are going to become the leaders.
Oh my God, what a game changer that is, Lisa.
And I had a 9-year-old, and I'll cry telling you this because this was just this week. I had a 9-year-old first semester in my class. And he said, well, I don't want to eat the food with chemicals. And my friends probably won't want to eat the food with chemicals either. And then if their friends don't want to eat the food with chemicals, no one will buy the food with chemicals. Oh my God, that brings so much.
What you just did is a cause set in motion, because that person is going to take this now and they're going to bring it home. They're going to bring it to their friends. And it's just going to be a ripple. It's just going to be a ripple effect. And kudos to you, Lisa. See, I always knew you were a wonderful person. You got that.
9 years old, Dr. Dan. You know, I've taught adults for 15 years after reversing my own ailments. And the last 4 teaching kids have been so fulfilling because my goal is to prevent these issues, prevent the food
Right.
addiction. Who are the food producers marketing to? They're marketing to the kids to get, the younger they get a customer, they have them for life. So I asked the kids, I'm like, why do you think this food dye's in there? And they're like, because they want to sell more food and they think we're going to buy it because it's colorful. Like these
That's right.
kids, they're catching on. They look at me and they say, well, if making Jello is this easy, then why do we have the instant stuff from the grocery store? And I'm like, because they don't think you're smart enough to make it yourself.
That's right.
And so,
Oh boy, you could. I won't even go down that rabbit hole because they don't think you're smart enough. Because that would just get me in trouble, and that would, you would probably. I know that you would agree with me, and that would just get us both in trouble. But it's true. You go to the fish store. You go to the fish store down the street here, and there's the wild caught salmon, and then there's the farm raised salmon. The farm raised salmon looks incredible. It has that salmony color. It looks appetizing. And then the other one just is kind of like a bland. It looks bland. And I had said to my son, which one do you want to get? He goes, oh, that one, Dad. That looks really, really good because it looks good.
yep.
Now, listen, you know what? It has
They add food
changed.
dyes. They add food dyes to those.
That's right. And you know what? It's changed. And if that's what they want to do, we're here to tell you that there's something different. We're here to tell you that there's a different way that we think is a much better way to approach your food. You don't have to buy a 2-liter thing of a sugary cola. You don't have to do the whatever, the one, a lighter sugary soda. Again, I don't mention names. We don't have to do any of that. You don't have to do, that's just not what you have to do.
Yes.
There's just a better way. You just have to have a different mindset. Just have a different mindset. I had somebody say to me a while ago, oh, am I going to have 2 nutrition shakes a day? Do I have to have this protein bar? If you want to be healthy. But then you can go back to your coffee and to your donut. I always go back to that. I always say, what do you have at 10? What do you have at 3? It's always a cup of coffee with a creamer, non-dairy creamer, with 2 or 3 sugars, and with a donut. Maybe there's cream in the donut, there's chocolate on it. I used to love those Boston creams, and I salivate. It's a Pavlovian reaction, but doesn't mean I'm going out and getting them. That's for sure. But if we can change the kids when it comes to this, how much water you're drinking in a day, how much exercise are you getting in a day, how much sun are you outside, how well are you doing in school? You find it interesting. Is it that you really love your language arts class or your math class, or is it your shop class? It doesn't have to be anything else. I really love tinkering with engines and I love putting them together. I like reading the books too, but I really love reading the books. I mean, how much sleep are you getting? This is all a lifestyle. This is all lifestyle stuff that you do. Find something that you love to do. Eat appropriately. Get outside. Get out there in the sun. Run around. I mean, I ground at the beach. I love the sand. Some people love walking on the grass, whatever that looks like for you. What do you do during the course of a day to bring your nervous system down? There's so many things that you could do. You like to meditate, you like to go for a walk, you like to go for a run, you like to go to the gym. What is it that you like? That's what we need to get back to.
Yes.
Instead of everything else, because now you're taking personal responsibility.
Yes.
Again, get out there in the sun, eat appropriately, drink your water, right? Don't drink the tap water unless you have a nice filtration system, right? Make sure you're eating appropriately. Get out there in the sun. Sleep appropriately. What do you love to do with your life? What is it that you love? I have a 14-year-old that loves math and he loves hockey, and it's just exciting for him. That's great. That's great. That's wonderful. Keep going with it. Developing yourself, mind, body, and spirit.
Yeah, so well said. I think what's important for the listeners to know is that we have a program that is already a structure that they can follow. They don't have to think, they don't have to figure it out. You've done all the figuring out for them. And joining a community where there's other like-minded people
Mhm.
also provides another layer of support.
Mhm.
So many of us have programs where we're running groups, and I find that groups are far more successful because people are helping each other and learning from each other. You
Right.
know, someone else will
They're
ask a
having,
question that you haven't
they
thought
get it, they get accountability partners, right? It's 10 o'clock and I just saw a commercial for the Mexican restaurant and I gotta go have a dozen tacos. No, no, no. All right, let's go. We don't have to do that.
But there's something to be said for hive mind, that
Yes.
the more minds that come together, the mastermind concept, that when you're in a group program, someone's going to think of a question that you haven't thought of, or someone's going to have an experience that you haven't had yet. But by sharing all of that, we get to learn from each other's experiences. And so there's a huge benefit to this. This isn't just like
Right.
going to the doctor, getting a report or getting a lab, getting a script and walking out the door. There's far much more support here. And I say
Mhm.
it's like bumper bowling. When working with one of us who has a program, we have the bumpers in the lane. So
Right.
we've got the boundaries set, and we're gonna keep you. You might bounce back and forth a little, but we've got the
Our
bump
job is to keep you
out of the
straight.
gutter.
Right. 100%.
Yes. So I hope everyone found value in this, talking today about food sensitivities and leaky gut and what's really happened to our food, so that we can not only focus on ourselves, but focus on our entire family and our kids. Let's not forget about the kids. I know when we're setting New Year's resolutions, those are typically adults, but as we're setting those New Year's resolutions, let's set them for the family and focus on a healthier lifestyle for all of the kids in our lives.
Do it now. Set your resolution so you end the last 2 to 3 weeks on a positive note in 2022. You get that momentum. A friend of mine talks about momentum. He's a coach of mine. Get that momentum. Bring it into 2023. Bring that into 2023. Walk 2 or 3 days a week, whatever that is. Drink a little bit. Let's go. Let's get
Let's
that
go.
momentum.
Let's go. You guys all have a link for Dr. Dan's program. You'll also have a link for my Freedom Kitchen cooking classes. I'm so happy that you're here with us. Best of luck to you. And thank you so much, Dr. Dan. As always, it was a pleasure.
Honor and a privilege to be here with you. And we can go on for months and months about this, Lisa.
We
It's all
could.
good.
We could. Until next time, farewell.